Here we go. Very good evening to you. Let me quieten my panel down. Welcome to the James Whale Radio Show on radio and on television. If you want to watch us, it's called James Whale Breaks the News. So go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to Twitter. I'm looking at my friend Ricky the Remainer. I'll introduce you to him in a moment. But first of all, let me introduce you to the panel. And we have a very diverse and interesting and entertaining panel as well. By the way, don't worry about balance on this show. If you want to balance the programme, you get in touch, and Ricky the Remainer will tell you how to do that. Dr. David Bull, who is down here, some people say he talks a lot of bull. I wouldn't say that at all. Well known for... Do you do any doctoring now or not?
I still write lots of health policy documents and stuff like that. I don't see patients, but I've been in telly a very long time, haven't I?
I know.
And now I'm a politician.
Can I show you something?
No, you can't. I'm very expensive.
I'm first in line for any medical condition.
Fair
right?
enough.
Okay, fine. And David is now, as he quite rightly said, he is now an MEP for the
Brexit Party, for the Northwest.
Ricky. Also, we have the amazingly talented, the very sexy, the very beautiful. No, not you.
I thought you were talking about him too.
Dawn Neeson.
Hello, James.
Dawn,
Woo, hello.
who is journalist, editor,
broadcaster, columnist.
Bon vivant. Can you be one of those if you're a woman or not? And the rather ugly bloke sitting near me, just to make me look even better looking over here, is a YouTube sensation. When I asked him, what makes a YouTube sensation, what did you say?
Good face.
Really?
And modest.
Mahyar Tousi.
Yes.
Is that good?
That was perfect.
Yeah, there we are. I've been rehearsing that all day. It's the only thing I've been worried about.
Well
We're here to talk about some of the news stories. If you want to get in touch, this is how you do it. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Ricky the Remainer.
Good evening, James. If you want to get in touch with the show, which I would love you to do, because as much as we like Dawn Neesom on the panel, I actually want to hear from you at home. You can tweet us on Twitter, you can message us on Facebook, and of course on Periscope as well.
And how do people get in touch?
I don't know if you want it again, James. You can tweet us
I
on
want it
Twitter.
again, because this week you've been trolled, you've been...
Oh, yeah. It's still going on.
Why?
For weeks now. I'm still getting messages, so keep them coming. I love them, I really do. So by all means, but towards the show first would be better.
Right, OK, so get in touch, but don't give him a hard time. He doesn't know what he's talking about, really, at all.
Seriously, give him a hard time. He
Yeah,
deserves
seriously,
it.
give him a hard time.
Lucky the
Right,
Remainer.
shall we talk about the Brexit issue first of all, because it's not getting any clearer. Now, I happen to think that Boris's proposals, when he brought them through, OK, you know, we've got to do something. I'm not too sure about the news that broke earlier today about him saying that he's going to ask for an extension if nothing is done by the 19th, because it came from the Scottish Parliament. So I don't know what you can read into that at all. He's revealed his new plans. They were OK, but when Jeremy Corbyn got up to talk and when the leader of the Scottish Nationalists got up to talk, what a bunch of miseries they are. David, what do you think?
I mean, I think Boris is in a very difficult place. In fact, in many ways, his deal, I feel like he's a little bit like the great Suprendo. So he's almost saying with one hand, here's a new deal. But actually, it's not a new deal at all. It's Theresa May's deal. I think Nigel Farage said this very well. It's putting lipstick on a pig. I think it's quite inventive.
No way to talk about our Prime Minister.
No,
really.
but hang on, let me just finish. So it's quite inventive in terms of, so this is two borders for 4 years. So you've essentially got the whole of the UK leaving the customs union, which is what we wanted to do, but it leaves Northern Ireland in the single market. Now, that means necessarily you have to then have some border in the North Sea. You also have to have another border at the border of Northern Ireland and the Republic.
Let me just ask this question. Is there any other solution? Something has to be done.
I mean, personally, I think we have to go to a clean break Brexit. I think the minute we do that, we say we're out, we keep our £39 billion, and we also then can negotiate a free trade deal. I think it's the only way.
Aren't people going to be dying in the street?
No.
Aren't they buying body bags?
No.
Aren't we going to have a shortage of medicines? You're a doctor.
No, I can actually tell you about that. So I have spoken to all sorts of people, including the EFPIA, which is the trade body looking after pharmaceuticals. I've spoken to pharmaceutical bodies themselves. There has been a lot of robust planning. The NHS Confederation told me that. As far as we know from the work that's been carried out, there will be no shortage of medicines in a no-deal Brexit.
All right.
It is bluster. It is Project Fear.
Now, Dawn, let me ask you this. Do you think we are any closer, after what Boris said, to a Corbyn government?
No, I don't. I just think it's never going to end. And I just can't... It just feels like it is going on and on and on. And the only thing I found amusing recently is the lipstick on a pig with relating to the Tory party. I think that's quite a fun analogy there. But is there any...
I know where your mind is.
Yes, my mind's always there. But is there any deal that the Irish are going to be happy with? No. I don't think there is there?
But there isn't going to be any deal that the opposition politicians are going to be happy with, so we have to leave, don't we?
Boris could come back with the best deal ever,
yeah.
ever, complete with lipstick and pigs, and they still wouldn't get it through, would they?
That's my view, is that
they still wouldn't get it through.
This deal stuff is kind of
But what do we do?
No, I think
what do we do with your beautiful face and all your YouTube viewers, and what do we do?
I think the plan is still
Not
no
as beautiful
deal.
as Dawn, by the way.
The government's plan is still no deal. The whole thing is about keeping Parliament and Remainers in Parliament quiet, and the Boris and the government come across soft. Look, we're trying to come up with some sort of solution. We're still we're not hardcore. Come on, let's just suspend Parliament, bring down.
Are you happy
everything.
for us to leave without a deal?
Oh yeah, but that's the only solution, because as you said, with the whole Irish question,
are we all going to fall?
If you have a deal that's happy for Ireland, we're not going to be happy. If we're going to be happy, they're not going to be happy. So,
well, I was doing an interview with a guy called Kevin Marr the other day, who's written a book about the unification of Ireland, and he says within 5 years he thinks Ireland will be back together.
Well, that may be true. I mean, the thing is, that is for the Northern Ireland Assembly to decide and for the people to vote on. But what's interesting about the EU proposal, or these proposals going to the EU, the concern is that essentially they're going to have to vote on it every 4 years. Yeah. The Northern Ireland Assembly isn't even sitting, it is. So I think the EU, there is no way they're going to accept these proposals at all. And I think we have to leave. We have to say, right,
How will you feel, Dawn,
James,
if we leave without a deal?
At this I voted Remain, as I've said before. I know. All right, hate me now.
I voted Remain.
I know,
but I changed my mind.
But I have, James. I'm with you. I have changed my mind on this, because the way we have been treated by the EU, by our own politicians over the past few years, has just really, really annoyed me.
And do you know what
I'm
I
just
think?
angry now.
I think that the European Union. I like the idea of free movement. I like the idea of free trade. All of that. But to me now, since the European election, it has become more like an empire.
Yes.
And that's what it's trying to achieve. Now, empires end up in very bad states. Look at the Roman Empire, look at the British Empire. It's not a good place to be.
Can I just say, actually working in Brussels, it is very apparent what they're doing. I'm working for a federalist entity. There are these huge logos everywhere with stars everywhere. The building is like the Death Star. It is like something I have never experienced before. And clearly what they're doing, and they've been really open about it, they want an EU army. They want, they want a federal Europe. Now that's fine, but the only way that will work is you have to abolish all national democracies, and you have one single parliament, and that's what they want. And I just don't want that.
And didn't they joke about making us a colony? Joke about making us a colony?
No, we are the United Kingdom. We are great. We are the best country in the world. I mean, look at what other English-speaking countries have done to our language.
But Luxembourg are treating us with contempt, James. I mean, Luxembourg.
Well,
the most boring country
I
on the
didn't
planet.
know Luxembourg was a country. I thought it was a radio station. That was a joke. Ricky the Remainer, what are people saying nice about me?
Nice about you. Goodness me.
All right, forget that. What are people saying?
We're going to be there a while. We'll start off with Simon Shopland on Twitter, who says, everyone says Boris wanted this job his whole life. Therefore, you do genuinely believe that he would take this route unless he thought he could pull it off. He's rich, he's not exactly doing it for the money. Fair play, Boris, fair play. And I reckon, there could be some truth in this, that we all know Boris thinks he is the Prime Minister. He's always thought he was going to be the Prime Minister throughout his life. And I think, he's playing a high-stakes game here, and I think he genuinely thinks he's going to pull this off. So I think I might be inclined to agree with you there, Simon. Dig of the Dump, he says the Labour Party have to...
Stig of the Dump.
Dig of the Dump.
Oh, Dig of the Dump. I thought it was
yes,
Stig
the
of the
relative
Dump.
of Stig.
Yeah.
No. The Labour Party have to sack Jeremy Corbyn now if they ever want to pass a vote of no confidence. And Awesome Avenger, he says, I'm assuming the lady in the middle was on Coronation Street or something.
Oh!
What was the name of the person who said that?
No, that was Awesome Avenger.
That is.
Do they think you look like Bet the barmaid?
I've got a really good story about her, but I can't tell you on air. I'll tell you after.
Afterwards, okay. That's thrown you, hasn't it? Right, okay, listen.
Shut Ricky up, yay.
Okay, allegations this week about Boris putting his hand on a lady's knee.
Yes.
Dawn, let's start with you here. What is acceptable in this day and age? I mean, When I was a kid and I left school and I went to work on a building site for a while in the summer, and we spent a lot of time leaning on shovels and whistling at girls. I remember one lady coming back and said, "You didn't whistle at me, why?" and then we had a conversation. It's always stuck in my mind, that. It's a long time ago. But seriously, I mean, you wouldn't slide your hand right up somebody's thigh, but...
Look, that was an assault, and I think allegedly an assault. Yeah, Boris can't remember, so how he can deny it is another matter. However, if a man slides his hand so far up your skirt that he can grab a handful of inner thigh flesh, then that is a sexual assault.
I absolutely
that's not like
agree.
patting someone on the shoulder.
Yeah.
So now, if that had been me, it was like 20 years ago, I would have actually said something, screamed blue mud, actually slapped him in the face and done something there.
Do you know, my wife did that many years ago. We were working for a TV company, and they had a priest in residence.
Okay.
And the priest in residence kept putting his arm round her and giving her a little squeeze. And she said, "If you do that again, I will slap you."
Exactly.
And he did it again. And he ended up on the floor.
And I would do the same thing.
It's quite funny.
And I don't know Charlotte Edwards, the lady in concerning this, but she was a feisty young female journalist, and they're not shrinking violets by their very nature. So why didn't she say something then? Yep. It's like she starts. I'm not having a go at her at all, because she dealt with it how she dealt with it. But why is it coming out now? In her first column for a newspaper where she's going to get lots of attention for it. She should have smacked him in the face then. Sorry.
Yeah.
But this story is actually making it difficult because of this whole hashtag Me Too movement and everything. And obviously there are a lot of serious cases that are happening at workplaces and everywhere. And they have to be dealt with right there and properly. And we have to encourage
everybody... Because it's a different... What you say is absolutely right. But, there was a time when you would whistle at somebody. Yeah. I mean... There were times when a man would pinch a lady's bottom. Yeah. There were times when ladies would pinch your bottom.
I've done that.
I was going to say, when I was a junior doctor, I used to have my bottom pinched by older lady consultants. So
I was going to admit to that. Now you really
sorry, I mean
that's it.
No, it is. But the problem is these sort of cases are actually making it difficult because it makes people be sceptical towards any case that's coming out, especially when it comes to a famous person, whether it's a politician or a celebrity coming out from like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's a bit... We're not saying it has happened or it hasn't happened. We don't know. But it doesn't help the movement.
I think it's very divisive between the sexes as well, because now men are saying, I honestly don't know how to approach a woman or what to say.
Right. And it all comes down to intent, doesn't it? The point is, I think in the workplace, it's sometimes, if you're very good friends with someone, I think you can put, like we are, you can put your arm around each other.
I'm not jealous.
I am.
But you can put your arm around each other because the intent is good.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's the same with racism as well sometimes, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because people can use I have a friend who's from Jamaica, and I'm not going to go into it, but I was interviewing him on a radio show a couple of years ago, and he was in the original cast of Hair. And I said, do you remember the first song you sang? He said, oh, yes, but he's Jamaican, right? And he said, would you like me to sing it? And I said, oh, yeah, that would be good. Can you sing it? Yeah. And he went into it, and it's got some very rude words, including the N-word, to which I had to say, oh, dear, we can't do it, so blah, blah, blah. He then got very shirty with me and said, I'm a Jamaican, and if I wish to use that word, and he used it again and again, and I will. Yeah. But, I mean, we've been mates for years, and he thought it was really funny. Yeah. But the management didn't.
No, absolutely.
But in the end, no, everybody said it was in context. But so it was done in a jokey way by him. But you have to be so careful.
Because people get offended on behalf of other people. I make jokes about... I'm Persian. I make jokes within our Tory friends about my own race. About, I'm Persian, and they say you're this. And I say, I'm making those... I was outside Red Lion in Westminster pub. Some other white person got offended because of what I said about myself on behalf of other Persians. I was like, oh, this is so confusing.
So that's quite interesting. So Louis, who's another MEP, is a black guy, and he makes jokes about himself, and we always talk about the fact we, have different skin tones and the rest of it. But he said we need to be careful talking like that in front of other people in case they misappropriate what we are actually saying, which is being mates.
Intent. And I could come up and say to you, do you know, I hate people with beards. You're a real... But... I could come up and say, that's a really nice beard. So it's the way you say it and the intent. And we've missed all that now.
But everyone is permanently offended by everything now, aren't they? I mean, Ricky is just very offensive.
Ricky!
I've got a question for you. A little while ago, I think it was last year, Kendrick Lamar invited, I believe, a white fan onto the stage to sing one of his songs with, one of her songs with him,
Yeah.
all the way around. And there are a
been
lot
your
of
problem.
a lot of N-words throughout the track. And he stopped this woman from singing his track because she was using the N-word, but he'd invited her on stage in the first place. So that's why I think it's very confusing. How people don't know how to respond when people are singing, someone who is black. How do you sing their music? Are you supposed to just mime it and not say it at all? I don't know how you deal with that.
Any comments on that story?
On Kendrick Lamar.
No. On what we're talking about.
Risky tonight.
He is, isn't he? Dawn says she's going to take you out after the show and give you a little instructive therapy.
I'll
Good
take anything I
idea.
can get. I'll take anything. We'll start with Schultzy100. Says Bojo seems so not serious about his current position. He behaves like he's still a kid. Well, I mean, he does say one thing in a document, then another thing on Twitter. You don't know what to believe anymore. Reasonable Farce, who I don't think that's his real name. He says, "Don't touch people at all. Be on the safe side." Which I think he might be being a bit sarcastic there. And Catherine Williams on Facebook, she says, "Yes, leave with no deal. People or EU will not accept a deal. They all want us to stay. We need to get out by the end of October."
Well said.
You might disagree, and if you do, get in touch with us. Go on Twitter and let us know what you think as well. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with Breaking the News and the James Well Radio Show on Talk Radio right after this. Welcome back, out of the way. Thank you very much indeed. This is a TV show That is like no other. The amount of rehearsal we put into this, I can't tell you. It's also a radio show. You can hear us on Talk Radio. You're listening to me on Talk Radio, and I'll be here until 10. Would you like to meet the panel who are still with us? We have Dr. David Bull. A lot of people said that's what comes out of his mouth. That's completely, I know I used that one before. We have the... She doesn't look like a barmaid out of Coronation Street. I don't know why I said that. Journalist Dawn Neesom. We've got... God, I can't do it now. I've rehearsed it all day. Mahyar Tousi.
There we go.
There we are. Who is a YouTube sensation. And over here in the other corner, in the Naughty Boys corner, we have Ricky the Remainer. Now, and if you send in your texts, your tweets, you can hear those. He'll read some of them out as long as they're not rude about him. Let's talk about Rory Stewart, okay?
Yeah. Rory.
David.
Yes.
Rory Stewart. Yeah. He's now left the Conservative Party. Of course, he had a very promising future. He was a minister. He was a contender for the leadership. He does look a bit funny. Somebody said to me he looks a bit like a spitting image puppet. Spitting image, I don't care if he's behind me or not. Gosh, he is too.
He looks at Wallace and Gromit. He looks like something out of Wallace and Gromit.
That's rude.
Oh, sorry. That's
Sorry,
offensive.
Rory.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, has he got much chance of becoming the Mayor of London?
So the really funny thing is, just before I came here, I bumped into him.
No.
Yes.
It's
so
not outside.
No,
is
we
it?
were having coffee just down the road from here, and he's all dressed down, he's in his jeans, he couldn't stop smiling.
Yeah.
So he's obviously decided that this is the best decision of his life. Does he have much chance? I mean, I think he obviously did very well with his travelogues, with his monologues. You remember he went around filming himself and...
Yeah.
And actually, I quite like the fact he rolled up his sleeves and talked to people, across the UK.
Do you know what I like most of all?
Go on.
He stroked the pussy outside number 10.
Did he? Larry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Larry is the name of the cat. I wasn't
going to say anything there
So
at all.
what was I going to say? So the thing is that, but to me, this smacks of he's annoyed. He's left the Conservative Party. He's now standing against Sean Bailey, and Sean is obviously the official Conservative candidate.
We had Sean on the show a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Does he stand much chance? I don't think so. He needs a political machine behind him, and I think you need one of the mainstream parties behind you. But he reminds me of a jockey.
Yes. Yeah. Could be a jockey. Dawn.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Rory, yes. Yes.
Is that it?
Well, what I want to know is how is this going to affect the Conservative mayor candidate chances? Yes. Yeah.
He's going to help re-elect Sadiq Khan because
London... that was the point I was working towards,
need.
which is what we don't want.
Yeah.
Because Sadiq is all about
Khan
Sadiq.
hasn't actually done that much, has he?
No.
Apart from he's giving away 30,000 trees.
He's ruined London. That's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time to actually destroy London like that.
Yeah, it's not done it
Mate,
entirely single-handedly.
don't hold back, mate. You just say what you think. What do you think about Rory Stewart as a potential mayor of London?
Well, there are some kids when they go through childhood at school, when they get bullied and they don't have friends. When they grow up, they lash out, and that's Rory Stewart now, because he's basically he wanted something, they didn't give it to him, leadership, and he said he's never going to leave the Tory party, and then 2 minutes later it's like, you know what, I'm still crying, they don't let me play, I'm going to go somewhere else. It's not politics, it's not logical, it's just he's being selfish.
But if he does get elected as mayor and then goes and does marvellous things for London, I'm not saying he will, and then goes back into the Conservative Party, he could end up as Prime Minister. It's not unheard of.
Oh, dear.
This might have happened in the past.
But it does seem an extraordinary thing to have done because, he had a constituency, he could stay a Member of Parliament, it's likely that the Conservatives might get back in. This seems like throwing out all your toys, the baby with the bathwater, doesn't it? Saying, I'm going to resign, I'm no longer going to be a Member of Parliament, I'll stand on this kind of weird ticket of Mayor of London. I mean, bear in mind he does live in Chelsea, so he probably still doesn't want to be an MP up in the northwest, which is my patch as an MEP. So he probably thinks this is his golden ticket.
The one quick thing I should add is that people like Rory Stewart in the Tory party, that wing, have always been saying we are the real Tories, we will never leave the Tory party. And anyone else who left, like Douglas Carswell and other Brexiteers leaving, they said they were never real Tories, they're the traitors and everything. We are the establishment.
So you're saying the Tory party has left them? Possibly.
I don't know, yeah.
Ricky,
James.
the Remainer.
Yes?
The Remainer in chief.
Woken him up.
What were you doing?
Well, I was just reading the comments.
Share them with us. Come on,
Oh,
share them.
I'll begin with David Baker, who says,
David.
walk with me, Rory, is still mightily annoyed he didn't get to be PM and lost the whip, and he's trying to split the vote just to spite the Tories and to ensure Sad Act Khan is re-elected.
That's very good. That's
Very
clever.
good.
Very clever.
Also, we've had some upset people, James, because we've changed the music on the show. They want the junkie chase back.
Yeah.
So you have to
Actually,
address that.
I was going to address that with the producer again, running in the commercial break, and he said, I've got some better music, haven't I? And I didn't even. I'll talk to him afterwards. Okay. Listen, here it comes. Here we are. Look, just in case. Here we are. Ricky, we would like to see you shake some moves. Come on.
Carry on. Abigail Slade says Rory the house elf wants to be mayor of London. I mean, I just like the idea of him being a house elf outside. Continue shaking.
I can never unsee this.
We've seen photos of you in a bikini.
James, take it off the screensaver.
Right. I've got a question though to the panel. Why doesn't Rory Stewart just go and join the Lib Dems? You have
Everyone else
no,
has.
but why did he do it as an independent? Why doesn't he get the backing of a major party? Because he could be a real force in
Well, I
London.
think, don't the Lib Dems have their own candidate for mayor of
Yeah.
London?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Which is why.
Can't think it.
What about,
Where
would
is
the
his
Brexit
support
party
base?
be interested? No,
No, how
probably
is he
not.
going to get his support base? Where
can
is
he
he going to
win?
get his
All
money?
the
How can he
avocado
win? Where,
eatings.
he needs to have lobbyists behind him. He needs to have money behind him to do this as well. So
You see, the problem with all of this is, and this would be big news, I suppose, if somebody had left but the problem is Brexit. And
I don't disagree with that.
Until we get this flipping thing done, and it seems to me all we need to, listen, let's just leave. I'm sorry,
but
I'm a great friend of France, and I love to go to France and to Italy. I love Italy, and I love all European countries, so do lots of us. I've got nothing against the people, but
and
I
that's
have
the
a big
point.
problem against...
And we keep saying we love Europeans,
Yeah.
we just don't like the EU. And I know, sorry, we've gone back to Brexit, but the point is, because of the Benn Act, Boris May...
Do you mean the Surrender Act?
The Surrender Act.
I'm sorry, I need a safe
But
space.
also, Boris, maybe Boris is playing this more cleverly than we think. Because he has basically said, it's me and the people versus the establishment. I've done everything I can. Remember, Parliament is blocking him. The EU will not allow it. He will have to seek an extension.
There is nothing. And somebody said to me, we're just going to take a break, but somebody said to me that, the EU are not going to allow a short break.
No.
They're going to say, if you want an extension, it's got to be a year or maybe 2
They can
years.
decide
5
how long.
years.
They can decide how
And
long.
the
can't
parliamentary...
they?
Well, it might be.
5
I think
years.
it's going to be up to December next year.
No.
And I'll tell you why,
No.
because that's the end of the 5-year cycle. Fiscal cycle.
Get in touch. Let us know what you think. We'll be back right after this. Right, welcome back. The James Whale Radio Show, or Break the News if you're watching us on any social media platform. This, of course, is a TV show, not going through the usual channels, but going where everybody watches the television now. Now, a little bit of entertainment. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Henry Dorr. Henry, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
And Henry is going to sing us a song in a moment, but Henry also has a one-man show. Tell us a bit about your one-man show.
That's coming up on the 28th of November, the Club for Acts and Actors off the Strand. So it's going to be a night of film sketches and comic songs, radio-style pieces, and anyone who fancies coming along can get in touch via my website.
OK. And this is how you make your living? You're a professional entertainer?
I dabble at the moment.
Oh, you dabble?
I dabble.
Well, listen. Simon Cowell learnt everything he knew from me. He told me that, so it must be true. So this, you look down the camera, this could be your big break, OK?
You never know.
Henry, please, take it away.
Thank you, James. At first we were afraid, we were petrified. How would we manage without Europe standing by our side? David Cameron rolls the dice and then we find he ups and legs it. And frankly, it's not nice to go and leave them all with Brexit. He went away, walked out the door, turned his back now. It's not his party anymore. They work round the clock in London. Do they ever get to play? Boris might not have the chance yet, but at last Theresa May. And my poor dear, I sometimes fear you were left in choppy waters, as it did appear. When PM you made a leap, and yes, you did your best for Blighty. Be glad that you can sleep now much more soundly in your nightie. We'll survive, we will survive. What we need's determination and an awful lot of drive. Britain has its borders, not like all the other nations. Sadly, that brings with it far too many complications. No one knows quite where they stand. So many differences and factions causing rifts in our great land. If this fair isle were only England, that would surely help us lots. But please don't make me cross the border and suggest that to the Scots. We'll survive, we will survive. But our worries buzz around our heads like bees do in their hive. We're all on edge, our toes are curled, we need some pills to calm us. Is this the last day of the world foretold by Nostradamus? It's not far off, it's coming near. Who will unravel all the problems and restore some order here? When still there's all the greyness of a Stockton-on-Tees fog. And to clear it we need Sherlock Holmes, if not Jacob Rees-Mogg. Joking apart, where do we start? What do we aim for when our arrow's not as sharp as Cupid's dart? What's our target? Surely this is when we show the world our muscles. However, then again, it's not so easy leaving Brussels. How can we see how life will be without our continental partners there to be our family? Will they shake our hands and try to tell us all how much they'll miss us? The French are bound to cry and then take half an hour to kiss us. All's done and said, it's going ahead. This most fiendish separation up with which we all are fed. The committees did their bit, and on their backs we ought to pat 'em. There's not been such a split since that occasion with the atom. But that Thursday will arrive. Will we survive? Will those Brexiteers go wild when they get out of work at 5? Will they dance on Tower Bridge? Will any of them be left sober? Well, let's wait and see what happens on the last day of October. Will we survive?
Thank you, James.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know, did you notice Ricky the Remainer dancing while you were singing?
I tried to avoid it, I must admit.
Yeah.
I tried to block it out completely.
Yeah, it was very off-putting. Thank you very much, Adita.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to see
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.
Henry Dorr. I think you should invite him to Brussels to entertain.
I'll show you how you can't get out of Brussels.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Welcome back to Break the News on TV and on Talk Radio as well. Let's talk about Harry and Meghan.
Ooh,
Where do we start?
ouch.
Dawn.
Where do we start? Well, I've worked as a journalist for a long time, obviously, James.
Yeah.
And never have I seen such an example of stupid behaviour coming from the royal family. If she wanted to sue over breach of copyright, absolutely fine. I get that over the letter that she leaked to her friends in any case. However, the statement that Harry put out at the same time was hysterical, over the top, and has just shot themselves in the foot again.
I feel sorry for them because
No, I
they're
don't
a
at
young.
all.
Well, I do
No,
because
not in
they're
any
a
way, shape,
young
or form.
couple, and I wouldn't want his life or her life for anything. And I think we need to cut them a bit of slack. If you ever look at the social media harassment of her, it is absolutely appalling.
Totally wrong. Personal insults and trolling is absolutely wrong, but this is hypocritical. She's not a celebrity. Harry isn't a celebrity. They are members of the royal family for which we pay. We pay their wages. They should do the job that they are doing.
I
And
agree.
they shouldn't.
Dawn, I don't want to fall out with you, but I agree
Go on.
to a certain
Go
extent.
on.
No. But, we're talking about a couple of kids who are trying very hard to promote this country. They can't really pack it in. It's not a job you could. They could, but they'd be hounded for the rest of their lives. They have tried very hard. Can you imagine what it must have been like for two young kids to have to walk behind their mother's coffin, and that must have affected their life? Now, Harry has went into the army. He was doing quite well until somebody decided to put it in the papers, and then he had to be taken away because of not because of the danger to him, although that was, but the danger to all the people who were serving with him because it suddenly made. And I just think we need to cut them a bit of slack. And I'll tell you this: if you want to get in touch, feel free. I've never met a nice Republican.
I think thereby lies the problem, because of course Meghan lived in California. She was famous. She was an actor, and I think that she still thinks it's the same sort of job, and it isn't the same sort of job at all. It's
But they need a good
different
PR
job.
company to look after
They
them.
do, but I think the thing is that that Harry is so insistent that they move away from the royal family, that they do things their way, which I think is absolutely fine. And obviously he is very, very traumatised by what happened. But I don't think Meghan has quite realised the extent of her new job.
Yeah,
No,
I
she
agree.
doesn't. No,
I agree.
absolutely.
But I think we are not giving them enough help, because they're trying. Harry has done some amazing stuff with Invictus Games and various other
He has
things.
done some amazing stuff, and no one's taking that away from them at all. However, they were doing the tour in South Africa has gone brilliantly. I mean, the press have worked very well with them. We've done everything they wanted us to do, and it was, everyone was actually starting to come around. Actually, they're doing a good
So
thing.
what was the problem?
Well, this ridiculous statement he's put out.
But that's the
well,
latest thing.
But
it's not really. No one's attacking Harry necessarily. It is initial insults towards her when she first came. That aside, she has also not helped, because she keeps trying to, in the name of reforming, she's changing the whole behaviour of royalty. And I'm fine with kind of modernising the whole thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when they criticise them as a couple, they criticise them as a concept, not like Harry as a person or even her. And that's the problem.
But I think, I agree. That's a very, very well put. You've done this before. And the whole business about taking the Range Rover, British, well-made car, actually financed by India, but that's another story. And they had them flown out by Land Rover. They paid for it. We didn't pay for it. And why not? And everybody was making that an issue.
It's the hypocrisy, isn't it?
Did I speak to you, Ricky
They
Doramena?
are lecturing people. They are lecturing people every week about climate change, which I agree with. So this is why I'm on both sides here. It's the hypocrisy.
I totally agree with you, Ricky.
That's the first time we've ever agreed.
I
on
know.
something.
Well, it won't happen again, I promise. But
You cannot lecture people each week
Ricky
about
the
climate
Remainer
change
now becomes
and then
Ricky
fly
the
out some Land
Republican.
Rovers.
Resign.
Have you got any social media, old love?
Yes, we're a little bit behind on the roll topic, though, so just some other things which have come in over the last 10 minutes or so. Abigail Slade, who is actually on fire on YouTube tonight, you should check out her comments. She's taken a leaf out of Extinction Rebellion's book, and she says all Brexiteers should go down to London and just sit on the roads and seize up London, which is a good tactic, which hasn't...
17.4 million of us.
Yeah, there'll be a few of them. Hopefully no fire engines this time either.
There probably are more, yeah.
Alan Corthwaite on Facebook, he says there'll be uproar if there's an extension, and then we'll definitely see the Brexit Party in number 10. And Paul Cramp, also on Facebook, he says the Queen should shut the House down, kick them out. They're not fit for anything.
I sadly think there will be a lot of people agreeing with that. I mean, there are some very good members of Parliament, but unfortunately there are some who, I don't know where they're living. I don't know what they think they're doing. They are public servants, and they forget.
If you look at the map of the United Kingdom, it pretty much voted to leave, apart from London, if you look at England. And yet the members of Parliament are acting autonomously. So the fact is, I believe, as a member of Parliament, you should be there to represent your electorate.
Yes.
So if your electorate want to leave, you should vote to leave. And they're not doing that. And that's the fragmentation of democracy.
Since the 2016 referendum, the Remainer MPs are saying, basically, they're implying that our electorate, our constituents should represent us.
Yes.
That's what the Remainer MPs are saying. That's my view.
They're
My
not.
constituents should change their mind.
Yeah.
That would represent me.
Would any of you like to talk about Extinction Rebellion or not?
Oh.
Where would you like to start? Would you like to start on this?
I call them watermelons because it's not racist.
What?
Green on the outside,
Watermelons?
red on the inside.
That's racist. That's racist.
No, communist red.
Well, I thought the best bit was I learnt how much a fire engine was. I didn't know you could buy one. I didn't know you could buy one. I thought that was quite
You
good.
could
I thought
buy
I
a
should go and buy
fire
a
engine, a
engine.
tank, an aeroplane,
Yes,
and
yes.
everything.
Well, they hadn't worked out how the pressurised system worked, had they? So then they turned it on and realised it was very, very strong and blew them sideways.
In the
And
next
then-
couple of
Hilarious.
weeks, in the
It was
next couple of weeks, guys, they are going to try to close down some of the cities of this country.
They are.
Are they going to make a difference to the climate? Are they going to improve it? What do you think?
No, and I think my suggestion to them is that if they want to shut down anything, shut down Parliament, at least for the next few weeks. Just stay there.
Actually, that's a good idea.
Help Brexit
That's
at
a
least.
good
You know,
idea.
if you're going to help something, help Brexit.
Sorry, that is not a suggestion. And I don't want anybody to think that this programme is countenancing that. Oh, hang on. Hold on. Ricky, the Republican Remainer, agrees. Is that right?
Well, look, I'm a little bit torn on this because without going into climate change itself, I actually don't agree with Extinction Rebellion's tactics. I think there's better ways of going about it. They've made a point, everyone knows about them, but this is the sort of time where, I don't know, put ideas and money into think tanks or something. Start thinking about solar panel planes, just practical stuff. And I'd be happy because I don't want to be at war, over Brexit and then also climate change. I need to
and
pick
the
my
royal
battles.
family. I mean, you are really going to be...
I know.
I hate to
Enemy
think
number
how
one.
much trolling you're going to get this week.
Well, it's going down very well, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's just you. I've
Yes.
got just one quick one, James. This
Go
is
on.
from Darren Woodley. Says, James Whale, still talking nonsense after all these years. Shocker.
Well, you should know you've been watching and following for all these years, so there we are. Okay, listen. Shall we talk a little bit about smacking children, which is also in the news, just before we finish? Because this is the most... Nobody is count... Oh, dear. Nobody... Well, don't stare at me like that. That's really... That is freaky, isn't it? Because the bad parents who beat their children... We're not talking about beating... beat their children, abuse their children, won't pay any attention to the law at all. And some kids will think, oh, yeah, mum comes anywhere near me or dad, then I'll be... And most parents have probably at some time given their child a little slap or a tap, because sometimes you can't reason with a kid, particularly if they're just about to run in the road and not be quiet. How you enforce a law like that and why you would take up time doing it, I don't know. I am concerned about those people who don't know how to bring up their children, and judging by certain behaviour, there must be quite a lot of them around at the moment. Dawn, what do you think?
Well, we already have legislation to stop you beating children. I mean, that already exists. So now we are going to criminalise parents who are probably trying to stop a child sticking its fingers in a plug socket with a tap on the wrist or a tap on the arm. And, if somebody reports that is now, in Scotland, a criminal offence. I mean, surely we've got more things to be sorting out than that. And who's reporting them? As you say, how are you going to check up on this one?
Yep.
Are you encouraging neighbours to snoop on? If your kid's playing up in the back garden, you give it a little tap on the leg to keep it safe. Your neighbour phones that in and reports it, and that's a criminal act. Madness.
Absolutely madness, and I don't know what... Well, maybe Scotland just getting themselves in the right kind of position to become independent.
Well, I think everything step by step.
We go back to Brexit.
Yes,
James,
I'm trying not to
somewhere.
go back.
That's-
No, it makes no sense because there's going to be consequences to this even if they were to enforce it. But it's kind of like the whole smoking ban in the cars with the under 18s or under 16s, because you can't actually enforce it. How would you know if the car's going that kid is actually under 16? How are you going to measure if I'm smacking you, if I'm actually punching the kid? I mean, that's different. There's going to be a bruise. But in terms of the level of smack, because as we said, a lot of times the kid is going to run towards the street, and a parent, if they drag the kid and then fall over,
Who's defining what is the violence,
Well,
what is the aggression level
also,
here?
I think people forget that there is no manual for parenting, and sometimes parents are very frightened. If your kid runs out into the road and you smack them, it's because you as a parent are frightened.
You know, this will upset everybody, but I used to say on my radio show when I was far more controversial than I am now, because I'm not. No. But I used to say, you know, if you go and adopt a dog, and I love dogs. If you adopt a dog, you will have to prove that you're a fit and proper person to have that dog now, right? Mm-hmm. Any of us can have a kid. It's easy. You just need to know how to do it, and then most people work. Well, Ricky, I'll come to you later. Maybe. This was a joke. I was going to have a ministry for procreation, and you would have to then apply for a license.
No,
you have a license.
This is a pub conversation.
This is not actually a joke, is it?
Not very China.
Well, you've put a lot of thought into this, James. I can tell.
I just thought
the minister, Priti Patel.
But you know, it is a worry that and I'm lousy. I was a lousy parent, but it is a really, really difficult and very, very responsible job, isn't it?
And also, you know, one of the things that I spend a lot of time talking to kids and parents about is healthy eating. And I am amazed how little education the parents have about nutritional standards for children. And if you go to one of the many supermarkets, I look at what people are putting in their baskets. And in many ways, and this is controversial, I think by feeding children such poor diets, to me, that's child abuse.
I've heard that said before, and I would like to hear what you think about that. And, of course, you can phone me in the next hour of the programme and tell me 03444991000 when we're back just on the radio. But here on the TV with Breaking the News, Ricky the Remainer, who's struggling to see now because he's been dancing too much. And...
Thank you, James. I'm going to say something else there, James.
OK, hang on. This is the music. Do it dancing. Here we go. Go.
Come on. Again. We'll start off with reasonable. He says, or she even, says parents should earn a qualification in order to keep their kids. Parenthood should be a privilege, not a right. So you've got people really thinking here, James. John Harvey just said there's other ways to discipline children, yet by making snacking illegal, it's taking the responsibility from parents to government. Yeah, are you joining as well there, James? Thank you very much. Now, all the concerns I've got on this, on a serious note, is if you are smacking a child, this child could obviously be reported to the social services and this child could be taken away. That child could then spend a life in the care system and have a significantly worse life off.
And do you know the problem?
Just having a tap on the
wrist. The problem is that nobody, politicians particularly, want to tell us how we should bring up our children, but some of us need help. Okay, right. Now, let's talk about this final bit on the programme tonight on this hour. James Whale breaks the news. You'll be able to see it again on YouTube and FaceTime and wherever else, Ricky, you can see it. All over. I don't know. Facebook, yeah, that's good, yeah. Right. Almost 30,000 snowflakes have signed a petition. This is Ricky was one of them, to get the Oxford Dictionary to change its definition of woman, Dawn, which has derogatory synonyms like filly and bird listed under its meaning. Should it be updated to reflect the times?
No, not. Get over it. Stop being a snowflake.
Dictionaries are always
they've
updated.
called language. They update, but they've called language. I mean, that's what makes our language so.
Based on what society is saying anyway, and or have said in the past. Like selfie, for example, is there now.
Yeah.
And some people might not like the word selfie, but that's what it means within society.
How many people now refer to a woman as a bird?
I do.
Do you? Yeah, but I think that's unusual. Well, you are unusual.
Thank you. Sorry, that wasn't. No, sorry. No, oh my God. Sorry,
hang on. Should we guys now get upset about being called a bloke or a fella or a geezer?
No.
There are more important things.
I think so.
I think now.
So why would 30,000 people sign this petition?
Because people are. Oh.
Best parents should not have had kids. Means tested.
Ricky? You shouldn't have signed it, should you?
No, I'm again. I don't know what's happened tonight, but I've agreed with you again.
I'm
I'm aware it's a very sensitive
hang on.
topic.
I think just a minute. while we do this and cross to Ricky, just to make this programme more entertaining, he should dance. Let's have the music back in while he's talking. Come on.
I love the serious issues I have to try and talk about with this in the background.
Go on.
Like, it's such
No, you have to move, not just... You have to move.
It's absolutely humiliating, isn't it?
And in my world, all newsreaders would have to do this now on the TV. Yeah. Come on, 30 seconds, let's go.
Such a sensitive issue. And I don't want to go into it because it's a type of thing where I know someone's going to be offended, but I just get the general impression that it's such a slim minority that actually think this. It's 30,000 people, it's not 70 million.
OK, listen, we're back next Friday with Break the News, 7 o'clock until 8. Dr. David Bull, Dawn Neesom and Mahyar Tousi. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us on James Oil Breaks the News. Ricky, the Republican Remainer, if you like to see him dancing, doing his spot, get in touch and we'll get him to do it next week. I'm going to rush upstairs and maybe some of you guys will join me and we'll be back on Talk Radio after the news at 8.